These three people are playing the elevator game. Legend has it that by following specific steps, the elevator can take you to another world, and in that other world, there exist departed loved ones and frightening ghosts. They are all trapped in this world, and such a game entices thrill-seeking young people, who emulate it one after another. However, this action brings them irreversible consequences. The girl, in order to prove her love for her boyfriend, enters a 10-story elevator. Following the method circulating online, she presses the specified floors one by one. She uses her phone to record the video, and prepares to send it to her boyfriend when finishes the game. She follows the previous steps and everything is normal, until the second to last step, where she must close her eyes, and remain silent when she reaches the 5th floor. She waits for the elevator doors to close automatically, before pressing the 1st floor. By doing so, the girl can end this game of bravery. However, something unexpected happens on the 5th floor. The elevator doors remain open, and a gust of wind blows behind the girl. This gust of wind scares her, and she can't help but open her eyes. She sees emptiness outside the elevator. The girl waits for the doors to close, and presses the 1st floor, but the elevator doesn't descend. After a tremor, the elevator ascends instead, and the girl drops her phone in fear. She reaches out and touches something else, but when she turns her head, there is nothing unusual. In a state of terror, she presses other buttons on the elevator panel, but they have no effect. At this moment, a singing voice comes from behind her, and the girl dares not turn around. So she picks up her phone and looks backward, only to find a disheveled female ghost standing behind her. The girl is trembling in fear and dare not move. When the elevator reaches the 10th floor, instead of a rooftop, she sees a red world outside. Suddenly, the ghost behind her calls her name, and the voice compels her to turn her head and look. Several months later, a few high school graduates decide not to attend college, and plan to start their own business. They capture and document their beautiful lives, and secure some advertising sponsorships. Today, the company welcomes a new intern named Ken. Due to the recent dissatisfaction of their sponsors regarding video views, Boss Jack decides to shoot an episode of a Seek novelty video. Such videos can attract attention, while gathering opinions from everyone. Jack realizes that some want to go abroad, but lack sufficient budget, while others want to explore different states within the country, but face transportation difficulties. Suddenly, Ken suggests that a few blocks away, there is a building where a girl went missing while playing the elevator game. The police have yet to find any trace of her. So, the group sets off with their filming equipment. After arriving at the building, the company's employees David, Larry, and Elaine face the camera, and introduce the haunted legends and precautions associated with the building. As long as they don't violate the rules of the game, they believe they can reach the legendary Red World. After Clara inserts a sponsored advertisement, the filming officially begins, and it is these three individuals who enter the elevator. The others remain on the 1st floor. They film through computer monitoring. The people press the elevator buttons in the order mentioned in the legend. Elaine doesn't forget to talk about the missing girl in front of the camera, proving that their adventure is real. Everything is normal on the first few floors, but Elaine notices that David seems off. He usually talks a lot in front of the camera, but today he's unusually quiet. They film the scenes outside the elevator on each floor. Before long, they reach the crucial 5th floor, where the ghost is said to take them to another world. David suggests that if it's possible that they quietly open their eyes, and take a look when the elevator stops later. His words startle the two companions. While the three of them are joking and playing, they are unaware that the signal of their video feed suddenly disappears from Clara's iPad downstairs. The patrolling security guards force them to hide. By this time, the elevator has reached the 5th floor. With their eyes closed, the three of them wait for the elevator doors to close, but David secretly opens his eyes, and takes a glance outside. After feeling a chill next to them, the elevator doors close. Next is the final step. If they press the 1st floor button, and the elevator doesn't descend, but instead goes up, it would confirm the legend. When they press the 1st floor button, the elevator indeed starts ascending. This eerie scene leaves everyone bewildered. However, the elevator suddenly stops on the 9th floor. Just as they are puzzled, the elevator doors open, and a man talking on the phone enters the elevator. It turns out he is a resident on the 9th floor. The three terrified individuals return to the ground floor, and meet up with their friends. They think it was all just a prank. Clara, whose signal was interrupted, didn't capture anything either. Disappointed, everyone prepares to leave when Elaine suddenly hears singing coming from the elevator behind her. She assumes it's just her illusion. Ken suddenly steps forward and suggests trying again. Under pressure from the others, he finally reveals his true motive. He came to find his missing sister, and the culprit led to her disappearance is his colleague David. A few months ago, Not long after David was with his sister, he had another new love. In order to prove her love after getting dumped by David, the sister played the elevator game that David mentioned in this building, which resulted in her disappearance. The crucial point is that the police haven't found her body after several months, and even her parents have given up. Ken believes that his sister may be lost in another world. As a result, the group dispersed without continuing the filming due to the unpleasant situation. After David returned home, and was on the phone with Elaine, suddenly a burst of singing came into his ears. The signal of both individuals was instantly cut off, and he noticed a dark figure in the corner. Just as David tried to escape, he was controlled by the figure, and his body gradually floated in the air. Every bone in David's body was gruesomely broken by the ghost, resulting in his tragic death on the spot. On the other side, Ken, who are not reconciled to the former result, returned to the same building once again. He intended to search for his sister's whereabouts alone. This time, he followed the instructions precisely, keeping his eyes closed on the crucial 5th floor. He patiently waited for the elevator doors to close, before pressing the 1st floor button. As expected, the elevator went up instead of descending, and arrived at the 10th floor. He saw that the decorations on this floor were identical to the lobby on the 1st floor, with the only difference being the red glow emanating from the glass doors. In order to find his missing sister, Ken suppressed his fear and pushed the door open, stepping outside. Then he found himself on an empty street. Ken realized that this place was different from his original world. There was a huge cross in the sky emitting a dazzling red light. He saw the figure of a woman standing not far away. Ken thought it was his sister, so he approached and asked, but to his surprise, he startled the figure. It began to chase after Ken in a creepy posture. After encountering the female ghost in the red world, Ken escaped back to the building. While waiting for the elevator, he heard a burst of singing. Meanwhile, in the real world, Clara forgot the camera in the elevator shaft. She was afraid to go alone, so she pulled Jack along to retrieve it. After finding the camera in the elevator, Jack confessed that their recent 2-month salary wasn't from the sponsor, but rather the money his parents had left for his college education. Clara suggested that she would hold the camera, and they would play the elevator game again. However, when the elevator reached the 5th floor, they completely disregarded the game rules, and started looking out of the elevator. Clara even recklessly called out the name of the female ghost. The next moment, she paid the price for her actions. The female ghost pierced Jack's throat with her palm, spraying Clara's face with blood. She tried to escape the elevator, but was pulled back by the ghost. Meanwhile, in another world, Ken finally managed to catch the elevator. Just as the female ghost was about to catch up to him, the elevator doors closed in the nick of time. Ken, who luckily escaped, found Jack's dropped camera inside the elevator. The camera recorded the footage of their encounter with the ghost. He immediately contacted Elaine and shared his experience, believing that her friends were all in danger. Elaine also found information online about the tragic incident that occurred on the 5th floor of that building several years ago. They arranged to meet at the company. At this moment, Larry was waiting alone at the bus station, when he suddenly noticed a figure lying on top of the station roof. Staring at him, Larry screamed and rushed into a restaurant by the roadside. He put all the salt from the tables into his bag. However, when Larry looked in the mirror, he saw the female ghost already crouching on his shoulder. On the rooftop of the company, Ken showed Elaine the camera he had picked up, but she thought he had gone crazy in his search for his sister. As Ken and Elaine were getting ready to leave, they discovered a circle of salt sprinkled in the middle of the office. Larry told them that someone had broken the rules while playing the elevator game, and now they were all cursed. After Ken shared his experience of going to the Red World to search for his sister, Elaine traced back to a news report from several decades ago. A girl was bullied by her classmates, and they locked her inside the elevator shaft of the building. It was initially meant as a joke, and they planned to release her after an hour. However, the classmates who attended the party forgot about the girl. As a result, she was left alone in the elevator shaft for the entire weekend. On Monday, when people went to work, the descending elevator crushed her body into a flattened mass, and it took several days for her body to be discovered. At this moment, Larry hummed a song that caught the attention of Ken and Elaine. Both Ken and Elaine had heard this song before. Based on the general meaning of the lyrics, they concluded that the previous game was not completed. They realized that if they played the game again following the rules, everyone could free themselves from the ghost's torment. However, before they could rejoice, two voices sang from a dark corner of the office. A shadow slowly stood up, and Elaine quickly hid inside the circle of salt. The three of them watched as the female ghost crawled towards them. It seemed as if her body had no bones, and she stood up in an eerie posture. Larry saw the ghost stop outside the salt circle, and he burst into laughter. Suddenly, in front of Ken and Elaine, Larry was bitten on the neck by the ghost. Terrified, Ken and Elaine escaped through the fire stairs behind the office. Breathless, the two of them ran to that building, holding hands, and played the elevator game again. They attempted to follow the rules, and complete the game to end everything, and they stood still on the crucial 5th floor. They waited for the elevator doors to close, but those few seconds felt as long as hours. When the elevator doors closed and opened again, Ken found himself once again in the red world. At this moment, Elaine realized that she had wrongly blamed the other person. Ken saw a figure outside the glass door, and believed that it might be his sister. Elaine persuaded him for a long time, before convincing him to return to the elevator. However, just when they thought everything was over, the descending elevator unexpectedly stopped on the 5th floor. Elaine believed that the ghost didn't want to let them leave. Before the elevator doors opened, the two of them closed their eyes and dared not move, enduring their fear as they waited for the doors to close. However, after the elevator doors closed, it descended to the 1st floor on its own. Suddenly, Elaine heard someone calling her, so she opened her eyes. The next second, her head exploded. Ken heard Elaine fall and opened his eyes. He saw a bright red bloodstain on the elevator door, and his sister's voice came from behind.
Don't leave me, Ryan. I'm so scared here.
When the elevator reached the 1st floor, it was already empty inside. However, with the mysterious disappearance of them, this elevator game became even more famous. It attracted more and more people, who sought excitement by playing this death-defying game. The movie ends here, and the director leaves us with a suspenseful ending. Everything is indeed that curiosity drives us to progress constantly, but it can also lead us into endless abysses. Ghosts and monsters may not exist, but we cannot completely deny everything. It's still better to be cautious about everything. If you like my channel, please give it a subscribe tilde.